Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Green Team of the Legendarium. I'm your host, Befuddled Panda, and today I have with me Little Red Book,
Hello.
Colonel Rabbit,
Hello, hello.
Seeker,
Hi.
and Kyptan.
Hey, yo.
Aren't you glad you're not at a birthday party right now, Kyptan?
I could be having more cake right now, but
But
No
it's
one said you couldn't
tomorrow.
bring cake.
share with the
Uh,
class. Yeah. I'll
um,
share with the class. I'll bring something to Jordan Con. You guys can find it there. Oop.
okay,
Okay.
how many people, I have to ask, how many people actually go to Jordan Con who have never read anything by Robert Jordan?
I've never been, so who knows? Drew says quite a few people.
Okay. Well, I don't know if I ever will read Robert Jordan.
Mm.
I want to hang.
That's okay.
I've read 3 of Robert Jordan's Conan the Barbarian series, and I still haven't been to JordanCon, so.
Oh.
You can go to Jordan Con and just bring on your back like a complete works of Lois McMaster Bujold and say, I'm an ambassador.
I am here to spread the good word.
This is my cosplay. It is a library in the bees.
That would be hilarious.
I
Well,
do like it better. I do like Vorkosigan better than Wheel of Time, guys. Sorry.
okay. Well, they are faster reads.
They're not competing for the same people.
No,
No,
they're
they're
not.
not.
Yeah, they're
It's a
very different genres.
Well, at least there is some overlap. Hence,
Oh, sure,
you
there's
guys.
overlap in readers, but
Yeah,
like orange doesn't fight with yellow.
fair. That's a good analogy.
I guess I'm comparing Bujold to Bujold, but I like Vada's War better than Vorkosigan.
Which one?
Vada's War, isn't that Bujold?
I don't know that one. What?
What is
I'm
that
not sure.
one?
Just a second.
For fantasy works are the Curse of Chalian, Hollowed Hunt, Paladin of Souls, and the Penrick and
Oh,
Desdemona
sorry,
books.
Vada's War is Elizabeth Moon.
Okay.
Okay, so I like Elizabeth Moon better than Bujold in general.
I see.
Although the Penrick and Desdemona is definitely my favorite Bujold.
Mm.
Sure. I think it's
I
mine
have
as
heard
well.
a lot of good things about Elizabeth Moon's works. Just haven't gotten there.
What book are we covering today?
I don't know, some book about some dude who like goes and visits this planet and like is supposed to be on a diplomatic mission and turns out to give himself an espionage mission, just that one.
Yeah.
That could be the summary of any number of Vorkosigan books.
Yeah.
We have just read
Uh,
Vorkosigan.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
Okay, I guess.
That's generally just a description of every Miles plot ever. Supposed to be doing one thing, decides to turn it into espionage.
In fairness, poor Ethan got sucked into, and Miles is barely mentioned in that.
That's
Yeah,
true.
but that's Ellie Quinn trying to do her best Miles impression.
True.
What would Miles do?
Yes.
That's about as much as poor Ethan could handle. Imagine if he'd gotten the undiluted dose.
Oh
Oh,
man.
God.
Like Ivan.
Hey,
Oh,
imagine
poor
imagine if every child on Athos was born with Miles Vorkosigan's DNA.
Oh.
I think I have a theory that Miles is the karmic payback for Ivan's success with females.
And he has some success for sure.
Oh,
What's
yeah,
the title of the book?
I don't know. Sita something. Sita Gata. Sita. Okay. In all
The
seriousness.
people who paint their faces.
Yeah, the people who paint the faces.
The Zebra Empire.
In all seriousness, today's episode is covering Cetaganda by Lois McMaster Bujold, which is the seventh-ish? I can't keep track of the numbers. Something installment in the Vorkosigan Saga. And we are going to start spoiler free for the book. It's not spoiler free for the series. So if you don't want to be spoiled for the series up until now, don't llisten. But other than
Why
that,
would you be listening though?
you'd never know. It could autoplay for some people, and they're like, "What is this?" Because we were talking about Star Wars and all this other stuff, and
You can cut that.
I'll cut that. Okay, so This is gonna be a group hosting exercise, okay? I will kick us off, and then we'll pass the baton. I was curious well, Seeker, you and I, this is our first time reading this book,
Mhm.
and then the rest of you have read this however many times. So, Seeker, starting with you, general impressions of this book, thumbs up, thumbs down, did you enjoy it?
All right. Well, we will get my disclaimer out of the way that I hate Miles. But of the Miles novels, I think this is my favorite so far.
Okay, okay.
And I actually did some. I actually had a mild epiphany as to why Miles bugs me so much,
Uh-huh.
and he has this eternal like victim status, almost very similar to what I've heard called little man complex, where he thinks that everyone treats him unfairly because of his height, even when his height has nothing to do with anything that's going on. And he's desperate to live in a world where no one tells him what to do. And he thinks, I don't know why he thinks that world exists, but like if he can just prove he's smart enough, people will trust him and won't try to tell him what to do. And he doesn't care who gets hurt while he's proving himself. He knows that multiple superiors, he's ruined the careers of several superiors, and this does not enter his thinking at all. He just pushes his head with his next attempt to prove himself. And I think as a plot device, Miles is brilliant. As a person, I would never want to be within 100 miles of him.
Okay. Strong take.
He's only ruined one superior's career.
I would say that Miles is like moss. He grows on you.
Moss, as in the organic growing thing.
Yes.
Yeah.
That people try to scrape off.
Okay.
I'm just saying that there's I can see where you're coming from, but I think that part of it is his immaturity and that later in the series I think that later in the series as he matures that you will like him better.
That's very possible. Right now, he reminds me of like a teenage Sheldon Cooper
Mm.
with an inferiority complex.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I think we have a bit of different take, but I think the maturity part is part of the
He's not at his most mature. He's in his 20s.
yeah,
Or
like
not
that's
even. He's in his early
He's
teens, right?
Wait,
in this book he's
No,
20.
by now he's
He's
in his
going to be
20s.
23.
Okay.
He's going to be
okay.
23.
Okay. 23.
Yeah.
like the maturity I think is part of the point of the series, especially when you're following this
Mhm.
main character from childhood up through wherever this is going to end. So, I personally like he doesn't necessarily rub me the wrong way. I also think that there is valid uh reasons. There are valid reasons why he feels like he has to be brilliant and prove because he comes from a society that is so vain.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. It's the projection onto other societies that don't like, even on Cetaganda, he's desperate to prove he's not a mutant. And whether or not it's left very ambiguous whether mutation is even a stigma on Cetaganda or whether they even acknowledge it to be a
Oh,
thing.
Is it?
I disagree 100% on that.
Okay, I think
Yeah.
hold on. I do wanna put a pin in that one because I think that is a major discussion topic for the spoiler section. So, we'll get back to the Cetaganda, how they treat genetics
Yeah,
and mutations.
that is a deep subject.
Yeah. Okay. Personally, I quite enjoyed it. It is a lot of like political intrigue, looking behind the veil, and the Cetaganda society was definitely a lot more nuanced and intriguing than what we have seen before this book. So that was interesting. I think this would have been a very visually captivating adaptation if that ever gets made. There's a lot of description of, like, what you see.
Mhm.
That would have been amazing. So maybe there's some amazing, fan art out there of this. But yeah, I quite enjoyed it. Alright, for our veterans, Rabbit, how was your reread?
I quite enjoyed it. I think I would rank it higher up on at the upper half of the books. Yeah, I think this reread it really. I don't know if I just had more references to get all the foreshadowing and details. But there was a few moments where I laughed out loud at something that because of what I knew was coming later on in the
Mm,
book
Mm.
when I was reading.
okay. The benefit of rereading.
Yeah.
hmm
Nice. What about Red?
Man, it has been a hot minute since I read this book, but I was really enjoying how the book introduces you to Cetagandan society and how it works. Um, and this is a planet that's been at war with Miles' planet a lot,
Mhm.
and it was just really interesting to learn about that society and the good things and the bad things, the pitfalls it has. And so I found it very intriguing. Interestingly, I know something happens, and I thought it happened in this book, and it didn't. So it happens later, and I'm not going to say what it was, but I was just like, oh, so that's yeah.
Did that impact your reading experience?
I know. I was just surprised. I was like, oh, at the end of the book, I was like, I
Okay.
thought that happened. But I also really enjoy Ivan in this book.
Mhm.
hmm
I love Ivan in this book.
I know,
Yes.
and he's kind of he got fleshed out as a more real person in the
Yeah.
book, and
hmm
I can understand. I feel like Seeker probably feels like Ivan when he's reading
Um,
a little bit, maybe.
okay.
Maybe I'm
Please
wrong.
clarify.
Well, I mean, Ivan keeps saying, "Do you remember when?" And he has this scheme that Miles came up with, and Ivan gets hurt in all of them.
Yes. Yes. In that aspect, I definitely empathize with Ivan.
He's always like, and Miles is always, well, that happened when we were 10. And no, that was no big deal. And I was 8 for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, I enjoyed the introduction to the society. And I thought it was a really good way to do it. And also, I feel like Ivan finally gets a fair shake as a character.
Mm. Cool. Kip?
I also enjoy that this is one of the first Vorkosigan books we get where Miles is not just constantly breaking himself.
Yeah. That's nice.
Almost none of his exploits are really accomplished through putting himself in physical danger, or at the very least, not bone-breaking physical danger.
Yeah, I
Mhm.
don't think he breaks a single bone in this book.
No, I don't think he does. I don't think he does. Um, but for a little bit of history about my reading past with this book, this is only my second time reading it.
Oh, okay.
I like it quite a bit, and I think one of the reasons I haven't read it so much is because I always save it for like the end of my rereads, and those just never arrive.
Uh,
Because I feel like it's a little bit out of place temporally. Even though it's not really, it is a little bit. And so I'm like, I can just read it whenever, right?
huh.
And so I save it for when after there's been a boring Ivan book. And I really get back to his roots and his let's call it social mastery.
Mm. Mhm. We could talk about that in spoilers
Well,
briefly.
Ivan.
But I also love everything this book does to set up and showcase the hot women.
Mm.
Mm.
Do you wanna clarify hot?
Hot HAUT, though they are all as a rule HOT.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Mhm.
Genetic perfection, a little
Yeah.
elfin
Yeah.
Yeah.
Perfectly symmetrical features.
with hair that reaches the floor.
Because never
And they
cut
don't cut it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, most of them don't.
No.
it.
But I can guarantee that Red, if you stopped cutting your hair, it would not reach the floor. Not in the way these women do.
Oh my gosh. Like, it gives me a headache thinking about it
Yeah.
They
because
have cascades.
Yeah.
I actually knew someone who had straight jet black hair, and when I knew them, I think they were in their late 20s, early 30s, and their hair reached their upper thigh.
Wow.
I knew a Ukrainian woman who had never cut her hair, and it was in a braid that would like dangle down almost to her knees.
Yeah.
which means it was probably about unbraided. It probably would have reached the floor unbraided.
No, unbraided, it reached her knees.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant when it was braided.
I mean, yeah, like I said, it was a bit short, but it really only gained maybe, I don't know. It didn't gain all that much unbraided.
Well, if there was any kind of wave in the hair, then that would have shortened it when it was relaxed.
Yes.
Okay.
Now we're talking about length of hair.
All right, buddy, this is a book about hair. I have
Fascinating.
no clue about it.
We can cut that. We can cut
I
that,
only
right?
know this because I used to help, my mom taught me how to trim my sister's hair, and one of
Uh-huh.
my sisters had moderately curly hair, but when it was wet and
Yeah.
straightened out, it was
Yeah.
4 inches longer than when it was dry.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
I'm the same way.
Cetaganda hot society is a fascinating bit of culture, and every woman having this like force field around herself that is also
It's
it's an aspect of purity culture, which
Yeah.
is just taken to an extreme, and it's pretty fun.
I kind of thought a little bit about what I've heard about, like, the Forbidden City in China, like, the concubine culture,
Mhm.
Yeah.
and, that's what it kind of not completely, but it had that feel to it,
Mm.
especially because all of their servants were neuter they were neutral, they didn't have a gender.
Yeah.
right, genetic
Imperialist.
Also, they can all be gifted by the emperor.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Well, since we're starting to get there, let's start getting into spoilers. But before we do that, okay, pronunciation. We're
Oh,
going with
no.
hot.
I would like
Host.
to point out I prefer the hote that the audiobook
Yeah, it's
narrator does.
Hote.
Yeah,
H-A-U-T, and not the well.
hot.
let's not say that.
Well, there's also, if you want to be more French, the
Haute,
haute.
haute,
Yes.
haute couture.
Haute couture.
By the
All
way,
right.
Grover Gardner bringing in another win for the audiobook.
All right. Whether you want to call it hot or oat or a variation thereof, we are saying the H-A-U-T word. Okay. Spoilers. 3, 2, 1. Seeker, you have a summary for us.
Okie doke. Now, this summary does not reflect the opinions of the Legendarium or my fellow co-hosts.
Oh no, that's not a good start.
What? You guys haven't read this already? Because
I did not read it. I was waiting to be
Okay,
surprised.
so here we go. Miles and Ivan are sent to Cetaganda as emissaries upon the death of the Empress. I cannot pronounce this without a lisp. Empress Lisbeth. Upon their arrival, they are waylaid by a strange hairless man who leaves them with a mysterious item. As Ivan cuts a swath through the extremely attractive Cetagandan women, Miles decides that going solo to solve the mystery of the mysterious item will get him a promotion to captain, where he imagines he will no longer have to obey other people's orders. After being contacted by the handmaiden of the Star Crash, Miles decides that the investigation is too sensitive to be trusted to his paranoid superiors, concocting ever more elaborate justifications to himself and Ivan as justifications for his failure to follow proper protocol. Betrayal, intrigue, and more beautiful women than Miles can shake a stick at. Betrayal, intrigue, and more beautiful women than Miles can shake his deformed knees at follow, as Miles decides that the only safe hands for the genetic future of the Cetagandan Emperor are his. And that's it.
I kind of disagree with that last part,
Say more.
but well, the thing is that what he's really trying to do is
yeah,
defuse the possibility of war being reignited between the Bariarans and the Cetaganda.
sure, that's an excuse he gives. But as Miles asks Ivan, why didn't I think of that? And Ivan says, because then you don't get to play a hero in front of the haute women.
He definitely aggrandizes himself quite a bit, for sure.
He wants to make
He's
sure that his hands are the ones that turn over the key information in the case.
Ivan at the end is complaining because he gets left behind once again.
But this time
Yeah,
it
but
wasn't
Ivan was
Miles's fault.
justly compensated.
Yeah.
Yeah. The scene at the end where he's throwing all these letters out and not yelling, but he's like, and the food and the women.
We have to leave early because of you, Miles.
Okay. This is the portion where we group host. Okay. What would you guys like to talk about?
I'd like to talk about the genetics.
Let's go for it.
Right into the fire, huh?
Yeah, right into the fire.
Mhm.
Tee us
So we learn the various power balances of Cetagandan culture. specifically of the homeworld Eta Zeta, which holds apparently the only key for their eugenics program.
Yep.
And the people in charge of that program are the Celestial Empress and her handmaidens. Handmaidens, which may be technically married to governors on other planets, but in reality, they hold their own positions and devolve none of their power from their governors, but from their planetary authority themselves.
Yeah, from the Star Crash.
Yes, the Emperor may have a final say over what the Empress and her handmaidens do, but they're committing high treason right in front of him, and they're getting away with it.
Yeah.
So has the Star Crash pulled off a coup, and do they rule the Cetagandan Empire?
No.
And
No.
do they do it all from the power of genetics?
That's, I think, where it kind of gets murky.
I mean, the Cetagandan women rule the empire the same way the Bene Gesserit rule,
Yes.
the empires of Dune. It's
It seems to be quite a bit more formalized.
Yes, it is, for sure. 'Cause everybody knows that they're in charge of the genetics program.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And so it's not
They're
nobody
they're in
outside
charge
of
of what Cetagandans will be.
Yeah. And there's a lot of talk about, do we make the Gem are the caste below the Hots, or however you want to say it. And do we need to make them more submissive to the empire? Do we need to genetically manipulate them more aggressive? And I gotta say that one thing I kind of dislike about the book is the genetic stuff gives me the X.
I think it's
Oh, yeah.
supposed to.
What, you didn't like the kitten tree? You don't want a
Oh my
kitten
gosh. No, I did not like the kitten tree.
There's an idea called I think it's genetic predeterminism or something like that, which theorizes that all our personality traits are embedded in our genetic code.
Yes.
Yeah,
I don't
it's a
think they
little overly
quite.
simple in my opinion, but
Yeah, I was gonna say I don't think they quite believe that. And there's also a whole discussion about how we think that the genetic pool is getting too.
I mean, they clearly believe in the importance of poetry and culture.
Oh my gosh, the kitten tree almost made me cry. And I felt so bad for Ivan.
Yeah.
And maybe it's because I have a kitten currently, but understand where Ivan's coming from. And it's just like, so they grow the kittens in the tree, I think. I think that maybe they hatch at some point or ripen,
That's not
Bloom?
discussed, but like, yeah, they're like the
That's not
flower.
yeah, they
Yep.
fruit. Maybe,
Yep.
I don't know. It's because it kind of seems to be that they might, because they have their legs. They're just not formed yet. So I don't know.
Mhm.
Well, it's also the question of, like, it was shown more like as an art piece,
Yes,
Mhm.
right?
exactly.
And so that's where it gets even murkier, is like, oh, they're using, like, this genetic manipulation to create art.
It kind of gets worse than that because there's multiple points it talks about, oh, are the Hote participating? Oh, did the Hote do this? And say, no, they work on work on humans. But with the implication, they're still doing the same kind of art, which implies
Yeah.
massive amounts of genetic editing.
Well, that's the Ba. The Ba
Yeah,
are
I was
their
gonna
Yeah,
art.
say.
that's the Ba.
Exactly, yeah.
And
But
that's how
not,
they experiment with whether they're
right.
gonna add it to the genetic strain. And it's
Mhm.
also why the Ba, they're not sexually capable of reproducing.
Right.
Mhm.
Because they're like, we do an experiment and we keep it confined. And you're thinking, what about all the experiments that might have gone wrong? It's kind of implied in
Yeah.
the
Yep.
background.
What
Yeah.
about all the experiments that have to do with sex?
Yeah. Well, Miles even says
That's what
at
the
the
Gem are for.
yeah. Well, they say that. I mean, so we have this lovely lady whose name I can't remember and probably couldn't pronounce, who's like the person who specializes in female Cetaganda culture. It's so
Mhm.
cute that she gets married to
Yeah,
Mia
Maz.
Maz. Mia
Yeah.
Maz.
she's great. But she talks about how the Hote are, how their society works, and you kind of understand that there's this weird balance between the Gem and the Hote. Like, you have their armies and then you have these people over them. And they're genetically on different paths.
Yep.
And when Miles is leaving the planet, Ivan says to him, how long do you think you're gonna be able to call them human?
Mhm.
And Miles says, how long until they don't we are?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
how much
Mm.
genetic editing is going on.
Mhm.
And it's scary and creepy.
It is scary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you wonder where all those telepaths are going on. You-
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
But
Which,
it
yeah.
reminds
speaking
me.
of the telepaths, did you all catch the moment where that was referenced in this book?
Yes.
Mhm.
Yeah, of course.
It reminds me of one of the later Foundation books. I think it's Foundation and Earth, where they revisit. I believe it's the planet of the naked sun. I'm not sure. And the robots, the definition of human has been so altered that they can now attack anyone that's not native to the planet because those aren't humans. Only the people native to the planet are.
Hmm.
Yep. Aurora, right?
No, or is it Aurora? The one where people are isolated?
I think so, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I get that one and the primary home planet mixed up. The spacer home planet.
I didn't think they had one specific home planet.
The one he goes to in the third detective book.
Hmm.
So that there's Caves of Steel. I know that's the first one, and then there's the Naked Sun and one other that I can't remember the name of at the moment.
Solaria. That's the one where they're
Solaria,
all
yes,
isolated.
Solaria.
Yeah, that's
Yes.
the one. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
So you're right.
Yeah. But I found it interesting that this is a world where an entire class of women are protected from physical violence by their force fields,
Hmm.
but they have the ultimate threat of political violence hanging over them constantly, both from
Mhm.
the emperor being able to marry them away, but also the empress being able to override their little float chairs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true.
I gotta say, one of the scenes that make me laugh is when they're doing the heist inside the ship, and the security guys. I told you, float chairs were a security risk. It's like, doesn't Miles punch him in the nose or something? I don't remember exactly, but yeah, they basically can smuggle people in their chairs, and that's how that murder is carried off at the very beginning of the book.
Yep.
Oh, and not only the smuggling, you don't know who's in the chair.
Right.
Right. I mean, it's the classic problem of all secured people. They think that if they can just watch what everybody's doing, then everybody will be safe and everything will be safe, yet are blind to possible infiltration from the inside. It's the classic, custodium est custodii, who will watch the watchers
Mm.
problem.
And that
Yep.
bit on the evil overlord checklist where it says my henchmen will have clear face shields.
Yeah. There is no level of intrusion to privacy or privacy that is, free from corruption or betrayal.
Yep. But before we move on from the genetics portion of the discussion completely, we have a relevant question from Lady Sweden asking us to rank the 3 methods of conception that in bearing children that we've seen in the series so far: the Barryaran, the Baden, and the Cetaganda way.
Well, 2 of them use uterine replicators.
Yeah. And I think we can throw Cetaganda out.
Do we accept genetic manipulations that are done for moderate aesthetics or ones that are done with aesthetics as a primary consideration?
I don't know. The Batons also are, and the Citagandans do.
They're both eugenicists.
They are. I think the Citagandans are obviously way more extreme. Like the Batons are just looking to solve congenital heart issues or stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't there something virtuous in such honesty?
You mean the Baton
Virtuous,
way?
yes, but
I
very
think
dangerous.
No, I mean
No.
the Cetagandin way, where if you say, "Hey,
Yeah.
yes, we're genetically modifying. Yes, we're doing what we think is in our best interest. What's wrong with that?"
Mhm.
Feel free to cut this, but I'm not going to say there's anything honorable in racial supremacy.
Because that's what it is. The Ho even see themselves as racially superior to the Gap.
Yep.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah.
Yep.
and like I said, there's a lot in this book and I think it is supposed to, that gives me the icks.
Yeah.
In a way that
As
the
I think
Batons
it's
don't.
supposed to.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
Cetagandins are as close to evil as we get in this series.
I don't
As
know.
as close. They're an expansionist empire who glassed and irradiated the homeland of our primary protagonist.
Okay, but
I'm just saying what goes
Jackson
on in
Hole is
Jackson's
not
Hole.
good either.
Jackson's Hole is bad.
Yeah.
Jackson.
Right, like we can agree Cetaganda's empire is evil, but we shouldn't disparage Jackson's Hole by saying they're good.
Look, multiple things can be close to evil, okay?
I think, and again, feel free to cut this one too, because
Who's
in the real
editing
world,
this?
You are, Panda.
Okay.
We're not
I'm
cutting
saying
idiots.
this with
That's
the
fine.
intent to keep it in, but if you feel it's too controversial, I don't see a moral difference between what the Batans or the Cetagandans are doing and what some Nordic nations are doing now, where they do prenatal tests and abort anybody with Down syndrome.
Mm.
True.
Hmm.
I
I
know.
see.
To me, it's a difference of degree, not of kind.
Well, I think there's a very easy first step in bioethics, which is to prevent the implantation of uteruses, to prevent the implantation of embryos that are clearly incapable of life on a genetic level. Like
Mhm.
100% will die before viability. That I don't think there's a lot of moral cases against doing that kind of genetic screening. And
Oh
then
yeah,
everything past that point is, where do you draw the line?
yes.
Where do you draw
Yeah.
the line?
And some of the things that, like, we cracked the genome, but we really haven't, because they're like, if we turn off this gene, it has effects that we don't understand elsewhere. Like, we're still
Yeah.
like, we're not even close to where the Cetagandans are. Like, they're
Oh
Right.
no, absolutely not.
We've mapped the genome. We have not cracked
So
it, solved it.
yeah.
Right.
I cracked was in quote.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But people did think when that was all released that, oh, we're gonna fix all these problems, and we still
well, it came
Mm-mm.
back with like, oh, there's only like so many thousand genes. That's solvable, right? It's not that
right.
many. It's like in the tens of thousands. Come on. We can take a couple of decades and crack that.
Uh-huh.
Like, and when CRISPR came out, it was the same thing, and they were like, "Oh, we're gonna fix everything," and it's like,
Well,
no.
I think biologists had gotten significantly more circumspect in their promises about world-changing genetic
Mhm.
engineering by the time CRISPR came out, but journalists hadn't. So
But even if you consider that there's only 1,000 genes, 1,000 individual nucleotides that you could change, that's still what? Because you can have them be any one of four uh, eh, uh, things. So that'd be
nucleotide
four to
bases.
the 1,000. The bases, thank you. 4 to the 1,000 is a massive number.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, does that solve everything? Because I got all the tests on my genomes. I don't have breast cancer genes in my genome. I just got it.
Mm.
So
Yeah.
But it's actually smaller
Yeah.
because those bases are arranged into codons. And except, no, you can't actually simplify everything down to codons because there are important differences, even in changes that don't change something to a different coding codon.
Can you tell that Kip is really giddy about this topic?
I wonder what he
I,
is.
I'm still sitting here wondering what the hell is a codon.
A codon is a group of 3 nucleotides that code for a specific amino acid in a protein.
Okay,
Uh,
sure.
ge- Genes produce, in general, proteins. 3 nucleotides code for a specific amino acid, except the coding chart is slightly redundant. So there's multiple ways to code for a specific amino acid, most of them.
What a fun puzzle.
Mhm.
Let's bet
Right?
on humanity.
Right? I think the human genome deserves a solid look at optimization, and I'm sick of pretending like
Okay.
that's just
Okay, Kip.
entirely untalkable.
Question here. With the if we
Question
accept
here: do I watch the blogs of people who genetically modify their own DNA with great interest? Yes, I do.
okay, that's not my question. If we accept that genetic modification is either inherently good or simply inevitable, how do you feel that fits
That's a great concession.
into a class structure within society? Because it is basically axiomatic to the human condition that the wealthy will have greater access to that modification technology than anyone else.
Uh, I mean, it's not axiomatic, first off, especially
I
because
can't think of a society where that hasn't been the case. Where the wealthy have the access to the newest and best
Beta
medicine.
Colony. Hasn't happened on Beta Colony.
That's not a real colony.
Okay.
I keep talking about real life.
I believe Heinlein actually brought this up in The Lazarus Effect.
I've not read that one.
Maybe
But
we should.
Let's see how many other authors we can bring into this conversation. Because I was just saying, have you seen Gattaca?
The
Wow.
answer is that I believe in an extremely strong government regulation about any sort of eugenics projects.
Well,
Like,
and
I don't. I believe government regulation and corruption are inseparable. So
oh, but what about Jackson's Hole? No government regulation there.
Corruption can exist without government.
yeah, I
how
believe that
bizarre.
the difference between Jackson's Hole and a corrupt government from a moral standpoint is that Jackson Hole doesn't try to pretend it's morally superior. It just is what it is.
Talk about
It's a good thing
honesty.
it doesn't. And I believe that Jackson's Hole actually does try and pretend it's morally superior. It likes to pretend that all the other governments in the world are just pretending, but they've found the perfect solution, which is just to let it all go.
Mhm. Well, I mean,
They
there
are
is
they
a
are the
there
they
is a
are
certain moral
the
superiority in
pinnacle.
honesty.
Yes,
Yeah.
they are the pinnacle of honesty.
Yes.
Yeah. The
Brute force.
honesty in the sense that they are honest about who they are.
Mm.
Everything
Well,
else is not honest.
I think the Cetagandas
Oh,
are
if you
pretty
pay
honest.
them enough, they'll be honest.
What?
If you pay them enough, they'll be honest.
Oh my goodness. We have
It's just part of the price
definitely
structure.
we have definitely devolved from the original question, which was a ranking uh of the 3 ways to conceive children. I don't
Well,
really
as someone
have.
who will never conceive a
Beta on
child, I have
top,
an opinion.
then Barrier and Cetaganda at the bottom. Fine. There's my ranking.
Yeah.
I'm with Kip.
Given
Yeah.
the
I
3,
actually missed what
I
Kip
would agree.
said. Beta.
Beta Colony up top, then Barrier, then Cetaganda.
I
I
agree.
think I'd have to agree with that.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Cool. Okay, before we move on from the genetics topic, well, I think it is worth pointing out that for Miles, this was a very interesting experience for him. A learning experience, a self reflection experience. Because for him, right, like something he kept saying was like, my deformities are not genetic. They happen
Ter-
from
teratogenic.
yes. And it was also like, he kind of used it to his advantage, right? He used it as like, "Oh, I'm, visiting the Star Crescent and I'm asking all these questions about genetics because, of my deformities. Like I'm looking for, a solution." You're muted too, by the way, Red. So I don't know what you said.
Mhm.
Yeah, because he uses it as a cover for why he's
Yes,
talking about that.
exactly. He uses it as a cover, but then he also would remind people like, "Oh, but actually, in reality, my deformities are not genetic. My genetics are fine." But I think for him, it was pretty eye-opening to see just like what such an extreme taking genetic modification to such an extreme does and how can a society survive and like the intricacies of that. And it's like just because you're all these like beautiful looking people, right, without deformities and diseases and stuff, doesn't necessarily mean you are actually superior to everybody else. And this, I think this has been a very interesting exploration of like social classes and like power, who really holds power. So maybe that can be like the next topic we talk about is the power structure in Cetaganda and how the Hope basically like genetically modified the Gems to be
Competitive and expansionary.
they're the militaristic, right, body, the
Mhm.
militaristic people, and there's
They're
that whole
also just the
question.
citizenry, right?
Say that again?
Oh, no, because
They're also
they were
they're also just the basic citizenry, right?
I I don't know because they were talking about somebody being just a workman. He wasn't even a gem who did something with the statuary that they see.
Oh, okay.
Something like that. It was weird.
But it's like there's this 2 groups, right? There's the who's, like, doing all this genetic modification, and they're the rulers,
Yeah.
and they're the ones who are the intelligent people, etcetera. And then there's the Gem, but they're the ones who hold the militaristic power, and there was the question posed of, like, how are you not worried that the Gem will, like, rebel
Mhm.
against the Hode? And the answer was really interesting where it's like, well, they're not gonna rebel because they want what we all have, you
Mhm.
know?
Yeah.
And that's how they use the women to basically, like, be that influence and power over the Gem. So, that was really interesting.
As you're describing it right now, I'm reminded of the Indian caste system, where you
It's
have the
quite
warrior
similar.
caste, the bureaucratic caste, the untouchables, etc.
Yeah.
And actually, what's happening with the whole plot, because they were supposed to give a key to all of the Hote women on the 8 planets in the Empire. But the Gem Lord who steals it, he is actually trying to gain control of that genetic power.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And and he has a lot of resentment, despite the fact that he actually has a Hote wife, but not his consort, but he has a Hote wife
Right.
who was given to him because the emperor gave him a reward. But they also control the gifts when they give him the wife. They have to keep the wife in a certain level of
Level
comfort. And the
exactly.
Right.
more wives you can give them, the basically you can bankrupt them. So
Right.
they
Yep.
can't do anything. And it reminds me of this book I read that where every time the king of the was ticked off at his lords, he would show up with his entourage. And we're going to be staying here for 3 weeks or
That was
whatever.
Henry
Mhm.
VIII.
So tried and tested mechanic of stopping people from rising up against you.
Yeah. The other
Exactly.
is the gift of the white elephant, which is where we get the term a white elephant.
Ah,
Oh.
Extremely expensive upkeep and a royal gift and great honor that could not be socially refused. And it
right.
would literally bankrupt the lord it was given to.
There you go. Yep.
So there's all sorts of different ways of power because the emperor he does listen to the Star Crash and their concern,
Yeah.
Mhm.
but
Yep.
he has the ultimate say in what is
Yeah.
going to go into the Gem genomes as well as the Hote genomes.
Mhm.
Does he?
I think he does.
I don't think he does. I really don't think he has ultimate control over the genome.
He had veto power, not control over like
Yes.
the
Well,
actual
yes.
editing, if that makes sense.
Yes, yes, yes. You are correct. I stand corrected. But he had power too, and it's just really interesting. It's complicated, just like how power is wielded in the real world.
Yep.
Yep.
And you could say that the Hote women they have a different sort of power
Mhm.
than the males in the society.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
remember, actually, at one point, I was going to say, I remember at one point, Miles said, "Do they see?" He was. Do the Hotes even see themselves as male and female, even though they have a very sex centric roles in society, or do they see themselves as
Mhm.
Hote first before they
Right.
see their gender?
Mhm.
Which I thought was an interesting thing. This whole book is just a really interesting thought experiment in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
In a way, I see the division of power as a kind of parallel to,
Hmm.
say, the kingdom of King James the First, or even the American political system, where the king or president might command the military, but Parliament or Congress controls the purse.
Right.
And so, if
Mhm.
there's enough political will on either side, nothing can happen if both sides do not work together. And we see that that's what brought down James's son Charles. There was a will for war, but not a will to pay for it, resulting in bankruptcy and the troubles, as they call it.
Mm. Yeah, that's a good parallel, that separation of powers.
Yep.
Though in this case, the Hote of women, or the Celestial Empress, has the ability just to change the genetics of their military so that they want to go to war less
Yeah,
Mhm.
Or
good point.
more.
Or more,
or
Mhm.
more.
as the case may be. I
Yeah.
don't think that, based on the conversations, I don't think the Hope women really understand how, like, the way that the higher level of aggression might influence. It's like they're talking about reducing the level of aggression while at the same time talking about the need to continue their expansionist, I don't know what to call it, trend.
No, because some of the Hote women are arguing for more aggressive gam, and some of them are arguing for less. Do we make them? They do make them more
And the
controllable?
idea of Cetaganda expansion is a political law, essentially.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
that won't change until the emperor specifically says something otherwise. And so you have to acknowledge that yes, the Cetagandan Empire must expand. So the wiggle room for the Hote women right now is how much.
And how do we
Mhm.
use this to our advantage, right? Because one of the things they talked
Right.
about is they use the expansion to test the gem,
Genet
to test
Yeah.
yes, and
genetics. Yeah,
yeah,
And
but
not
they're
just to
also
test, but to produce favorable crosses that would reveal themselves.
right.
Mhm.
right. And they have this there is concern in the crush that maybe the genetic pool is getting too small. They need to throw some
Too
new stuff in the mix.
concentrated. Yeah.
Yeah, too concentrated. That's a better word.
Mhm.
You're saying they need perhaps a little bit of a monkey wrench in the system that happen to be named Miles.
Look. We need to try carefully there.
His
We were
genetics is fine,
we were
remember.
Yeah. Do you think he's going to be in the next iteration of the Hote genome?
Maybe it'll
we were
be
joking
Ivan.
about what would happen if Athos had a bunch of little Mileses. What about a bunch of little Mileses on Cetaganda?
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
Lord.
What if they took just the good parts? Or they
Which
tried
parts?
to take just the good
Well,
parts?
I was gonna say because a lot. Well, I think probably everybody's personality, but Miles' personality, the things that are the good parts are also the bad parts.
True.
Mhm.
Yeah, how do you take that Vorkosigan ability to push yourself to the brink of medical collapse when you have a duty?
Hmm.
It certainly helps him out, but it also gets him in trouble.
Well, and it gets other people in trouble. Like when they discover like an old cache of weapons, and he talks Ivan into driving the tank, and then they get in trouble, and he gets lost. And they're digging a mine shaft. He's like, I was under there for hours. And Miles is
It's
like,
a,
It was only a
that
few
no,
minutes.
whatever.
that
His
barn was old.
Sorry.
he pulled you out. It was like 2 minutes. I could still taste the dirt. But yeah, I mean, so that part of him that wants to do all those crazy things and does get other people into trouble is also part of like it also accomplishes good in it too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
Well, that's
Double-edged
why I say
sword.
he's a great plot device.
Mm.
but I think that all of us are like that, right? Like some of our good qualities can also lead that
Yeah.
way.
I mean, can you
Oh.
take a manic depressive and only take the good parts? Say it again, I would love to find out.
So we kind of talked about a little of this, but to answer it more directly, Lady S says that she would appreciate a discussion on how we found the reveal of the women's significance in Cetaganda society and how uneducated the Baryarans were about it. Thoughts?
I found it weird that they didn't know so much, given how their ambassadors on the ground seem fairly well informed.
It's also very Bear Yarn to dismiss women.
Oh,
I
it's
mean, we
very Barry Aaron. Oh, sorry, this report came from Mia Maz. You can just put it in the folder and forget about it.
yeah.
Well, I think it was significant that there were no female
Mhm.
parties in like as part of the
The Barry Aaron
Baryaren
Embassy.
Mhm.
embassy. Yeah,
Both the embassy and the delegation that
Yep.
exactly.
Miles and Ivan
Yeah.
were a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just part of the human condition where people see in others what they expect from themselves. So
Yeah.
Barry R is male dominated, and they see the male dominated aspects and just assume that that is how they reflect, as how Cetaganda reflects Barry R.
Well, they don't have hardly any action with the Hote at all. They
Mhm.
only
Yes.
they mostly interact with the Gem.
Yeah.
So
Right.
Yep.
I mean, they're
And
specifically kept the Holt women specifically are kept apart and hidden.
yeah. And
And you're supposed to
they do
act like
have
they're not even there.
slight interaction or knowledge of the Hote, but that's all through the Emperor who
Right.
Mhm.
leads the
yeah.
Gem. So it's a very natural assumption for Baryaran male-centered society to assume that the Emperor leads the Hote. It's all male dominated. Emperor leads the Gem, all male dominated.
I'd love to know if Cordelia has ever met a Hote woman.
I doubt it.
I doubt it too.
I don't
Now
too,
I'm
yeah.
trying to think if she ever does. I don't think
Well,
she does.
up until this point, I don't think she has because we have an entire basically timeline of her life.
Right. She definitely hasn't
Yeah.
yet.
Yeah.
Cordelia and a Hote woman would be an interesting conversation for sure.
Prequel, when Cordelia was a Baden
Or
Expeditionary Force captain.
actually, also interesting conversation.
Mhm.
A Hote woman and Cordelia's mother.
Oh, yeah. Wow.
With
Yeah.
He even says that one of the Hote women reminds him of his grandmother. The one
Yeah.
Yeah.
the one
Yep.
where that goes off the roof, I think is the one where he
I,
gets in her pod.
I mean,
Yeah.
you can actually do a controlled glide. It's been years since I did this, though.
Yes, exactly.
Such a good scene.
I did really like the reveal of the women's significance, like, that was another layer I just really
Mhm.
wasn't expecting. It was very mysterious, and I like that it wasn't very flat, there were a lot of nuances, like, the different individuals, and, we got to see more personality from some than others, like Pell's personality, the one that did the glide, and how she's more punchy, I guess,
She definitely is
and
higher on the risk-taking level than
yeah,
stability.
yeah. So, like, just being able to see the variations of those women, and I think it's also another aspect we kinda touched on, but didn't explicitly say was when a Hope woman was given to a gem as a reward, they lose their little bubble,
Yeah.
right? And then you're supposed to, like, not you're
They have to
supposed
make
to
do with a
still treat them as
prosthetic
if
etiquette bubble.
yeah, you're still supposed to treat them as if they're in a bubble, and that was, like, the most polite thing you could do, and that
Yeah.
was just, like, kinda weird to me where it's like, "Oh, like, they don't you wanna be seen now?" And, like but
They
she
don't.
didn't,
Yeah.
she
No.
wanted to return to her life.
Okay, if you were in a force field bubble, would you wear 10,000 layers of robes?
Would you
Yeah,
cheat?
Or would you cheat? Like Miles keeps suspecting them all of doing.
I would absolutely cheat.
Would
But
you
maybe
cheat
maybe
at
that's
the
what would make me
Empress's
not hope.
funeral?
Probably not.
Maybe not then. Yeah.
I would cheat. I would wear my slippers and my
I'd
jammies
I'd
and
be in
never do my
pajamas
hair.
always.
I mean, that's kinda like
Also,
So, like
now, right? Like, in remote work, you
mhm,
could, like, not be wearing any pants, and nobody would know because all we see is, like, the upper half.
The no
I could be
pants
in
workforce.
pajamas.
but if there was a remote funeral, would you would you go to
Would you wear pants? Yes, I would.
I would because I live in Maine and it's cold up here.
I always have a blanket on me.
But also, on the subject of do they cheat? Because remember, like as soon as they leave the public eye, they lower their bubbles to each other.
Right.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
Sometimes, yeah, or they
Yeah.
can
Sometimes.
often, yeah,
I mean, but how many times do they have a day where they're not going to see anybody?
yep,
Mhm.
Because they don't even
Oh,
necessarily like live with their husbands, right?
right. Because
true.
they're not really husbands.
The
Th
consorts.
they're consorts.
Yeah, they're
His husband is the closest English word.
No, consort is an English word.
yeah.
Though they even call them like planetary consorts.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah. That's because they're consorts to the planet, not because the consorts to the satrap governors.
Yeah.
Versus in the other
Yeah.
situation, they are explicitly the consorts of the person.
Right, when they're
Mhm.
given to
Yeah.
them as opposed to being
Right.
part of the Star Crush.
Yeah.
And, and they move the Gem Lords around. They move
Mhm.
the consorts around. They stay with their planet. At least that's the
Yeah.
Mhm.
feeling I got. I don't know if it's explicitly said that way, but
Yeah.
I think so.
Cool. Last topic, as we wrap up. What were your favorite parts? What did you enjoy about this? Let's start with Seeker because you must have enjoyed at least something. You said this was your favorite of the Miles books so far.
Well, I enjoyed a couple things, but the my favorite interactions was between Miles and the detective.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
oh
The
yeah.
the way Miles is feeding him information in order to get more information out of him. Miles is trying to and the detective obviously picks up what Miles is doing, and they're both playing this game of how much can I tell you while keeping the advantage myself. And I found that very, very enjoyable.
A man of subtlety.
I love the part where he calls him Admiral and he's like,
Oh,
"I'm
yeah.
Myrtle." And then
He's like,
at the
Not wrong.
yep.
yeah.
That was
Benin.
good.
What a fun character.
I like I like two parts. I like the part where he's being like debriefed by Vorreedy,
Mhm.
and he's talking about what exactly Miles's role in ImpSec is.
I don't know. What
And
is my role? Would you tell me what my role is?
Yeah, I'll just read this a little bit. My intelligence evaluations are in my personnel file, sir. I've read it. That's why we're having this conversation. Vorkosigan blinked slowly like a lizard. No rules at all? Well, one rule, maybe. Deliver success or pay with your ass. You have held your current post for almost 3 years, I see, Lieutenant Vorkosigan. Your ass is still intact, is it? Last time I checked, sir. For the next 5 days, maybe. This suggests astonishing authority and autonomy. No authority at all. Just responsibility. Oh dear. Vorkosigan pursed his lips very thoughtfully indeed. You have my sympathy, Lord Vorkosigan.
Yeah.
I
it's
love
true.
how.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
That's Miles being a Vor.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do love Miles' self-awareness there.
Yeah.
I love how he's just between calling him Lord Vorkosigan and calling him Lieutenant.
Mhm.
He's like trying to find the balance of like how to deal with loose cannon, basically. Because what did he say?
He's got multiple
He-
roles.
Yep.
Yeah.
He's yeah,
And
exactly. And he also has this like the shortest chain of command. He
Yeah,
said,
directly from
Uh-huh.
Simon Ilian.
yeah. And he-
All of the couriers report directly to Commodore whatever, but not you. You report directly to Simon Ilian, who
and
reports
they're
directly to the Emperor.
I've never seen a command chain that short.
especially for a
Yeah.
lieutenant.
except for his own.
Well,
Yeah.
It also brings up that thing that no one ever wants to talk about in Barryaran society, or at least very few people want to talk about. That Miles is almost like second in the line of succession for the Imperial throne.
Yeah. And I think it's actually still even on Barrayar, among Barrayarans, very few characters pick up on that dual nature of Miles, that in the way that Veridi does. Most of them only see him as Lord Miles or as Lieutenant Vorkosigan, or if they do see the other, it's only as a way to like
His
to
Nepo
look
Baby
down on
cover
him.
story is strong.
Yeah. Mhm.
It is. I would like to follow up Kip's part with this is towards the end of the book where Veridi a lot of things get revealed finally. And Veridi just asks, "What did you think you were doing for Kosigan?" And Miles says, I stopped the Cetaganda Empire from breaking up into 8 aggressively expanding units. I derailed plans for a war by some of them with Barrayar. I survived an assassination attempt and helped catch 3 high ranking traitors. Admittedly, they weren't our traitors, but still. Oh, and I solved a murder. That's enough for one trip, I hope. Veridi struggled with himself for a moment, then bit out helplessly. Are you a special agent or not? I love that.
Mhm.
Just his inability to pull rank on Miles is just toxic.
No authority at all, just responsibility.
Yep.
And Miles goes, "Well, if not, I succeeded like one, didn't I?"
That was great. It was absolutely the callback to this conversation. Yep.
Mhm.
Also the mushrooms scene.
Yes. I am
Yes.
not a
I am
mushroom.
not a mushroom.
To be kept in the dark and fed.
It wasn't me this time.
I'm quoting the book.
He's quoting the book.
Okay.
Yeah.
And my other favorite part is when Ivan gets poisoned at that first
Yes.
party.
Oh,
Say
yeah.
more.
And he disappears upstairs for a disturbing amount of time to Miles, and then comes back down and wants to run.
It manages to get every woman.
Manages to get every woman for the rest of his stay. Yep.
Yes.
Made
My
up a little
tongue
bit
and
of
fingers are
Barrayard
numb.
folklore.
Yeah.
I wonder what that's gonna look like. The rumors in 3 generations.
Barrayarns make the best lovers.
Uh-huh.
Well, the ones with a lot of pride, apparently.
I mean, he deserves it. He deserves to be a little proud of that. I was like, yeah, you go. I was gonna say that's one of my absolutely favorite parts, because he's so embarrassed, but at the same time, he's so proud of himself.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yes, he is.
How long it would take these women to fall asleep?
But they fell asleep with a smile.
There's a part where Miles says to Ivan, "Besides, if you keep leaving your genetic samples all over town, your progeny could end up being featured in next year's art show as
As
bushes."
a shrub.
Ivan shuddered. "You don't think they would? That's not why." Could they? Sure. Why, when you're gone, they could recreate the operative body parts that interest them to perform on command to any scale. Quite the souvenir. And you thought the kitten tree was obscene.
Miles is so nasty, passive aggressive there.
I mean, he's probably a bit jealous.
Oh, of
A
course he
bit.
is.
At the next botanical exhibition, there'll be a line of eggplants called the Vorpatral.
Mm.
Oh dear. I don't want to see fan art of that.
Now I have it in my head. Thanks, Panda.
What about Rabbit? What was your favorite? What your favorite
Oh
parts?
gosh. I will not say a single part. I will just say that I enjoy the mystery and kind of like a subverted detective plot
Mm.
with like the two detectives working together across opposite sides.
Mhm.
And I think that one of Bujold's biggest strength is competent characters. And I
Mhm.
think despite the fact that Miles has his ego and it causes him to do dumb things, every character is competent. Like no one just makes dumb decisions for the sake of the plot.
Yeah.
Except Miles, who needs to
Except
keep
Miles.
this plot in his hands and no one else's.
And
But that's
Ivan makes
Miles getting
plenty of dumb
Miles
decisions that have nothing to do with the plot.
Seeker, I know you said you had a favorite quote.
Yeah, well, I'm not sure if it's my favorite book-wise, but when I looked up quotes, this was my favorite of the ones I found.
Okay.
And it goes, "It was suicide, wasn't it? In an involuntary sort of way," said Vorobiev. "These Cetaganda and political suicides can get awfully messy when the principal won't cooperate. 32 stab
Yes.
wounds in the back. Worst case of suicide they ever saw," muttered Ivan, clearly fascinated by the gossip. "Exactly, my lord."
Yeah, definition of suicide. Very stretched right there.
I've got a dark sense of humor sometimes, and suicide jokes are right up there for me. So
Works for me.
there's a great one in Heated Rivalry this season.
You would be watching that.
I would say that I really love Ivan and Miles interacting because it's different. So he's given an actual character, and I also like, even though what he's doing is crazy and frantic, it's not as crazy and frantic as the heist of the whole ship. Like
Mhm.
it's bigger in a lot of ways,
Yeah.
but at the same time, he's handling it so much better
Yeah.
than he handled that.
Yeah.
He only searched the cabin of the leader of one of the most important planetary systems in the wormhole nexus. He didn't try and steal his whole ship.
That's right.
Yeah. And he's not hopped up on alcoholic mint-flavored stimulant.
Right.
In fact, he specifically avoids alcohol the entire book. He's like, I
Yeah.
can't do it.
Yeah. It was a more low-key adventure for
Mhm.
Miles. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just saying maturity. We're seeing some maturity. Now he's only taking on an empire.
Well,
Nerve
to be
disruptor
fair,
barely fired.
his first idea was to literally raid the ship commando style.
Oh, yeah, that's true. He gets talked down. He listens to other people's advice sometimes.
Yeah.
It wasn't so much that it was you listened to the advice. I was still with the plane. The plane just wasn't able to come to fruition because it got interrupted.
Yeah.
It was a good plan.
As the resident historian, at least think so, I do have a question about the assumption in this book that if the Cetaganda Empire broke up, each unit would continue to be expansionist. Because in my read of history, you got, let's take Alexander the Great and Genghis Khan. When those empires broke up, rather than each unit becoming its own expansionist unit, they turned on each other. So they weren't trying to conquer new territory, they were trying to reconquer the Alexandrian or the Genghis Khan Empire for rather than look elsewhere. So do you think that the Cetagandans would explode outward, or would they all just turn on each other and try to conquer the old empire again?
I think the ones on the outside would try and go outwards, and the ones on the inside would be more backbitey.
I
I
think
think
it
that's
more
fair.
depends on how much power the Hote maintain, this in the Eta Theta Hote,
Hmm.
because that's kind of like the backbone of the Empire's strength in general. So even if it splits up into smaller governmental scales, if the Hote remain centralized with the Star Crush and the
Well, I think the
Emperor
idea was to kind of split that up,
to some
like to
extent,
make
right?
like eight competing groups of Hote.
Right.
But
I know that
there was
that
still
would
going to be. I
I think it
mean,
would
I
yeah, I don't know.
they gave up the security of only having the one master key.
Sure.
And with that, they gave up the hope that they gave up the fact that the Hote would always be on Eta Zeta and that they would be one united thing. I don't
Mhm.
think that the late Empress gave up the hope that they would all continue to work together in some sort of meta empire way. But
I think
I
that
do
that's
think
what she
that
was aiming for.
Mhm.
yeah, but I do think that the Ba instituted some sort of half-baked scheme which had none of the controls or necessary to make sure it went one way or another.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, this is the problem with people who view their government, everybody who works for them as chess pieces, is the chess pieces never act the way the player thinks they will, because all the chess pieces have their own free will.
Yeah.
Hmm.
All right. I think I can close with one of my favorite parts, which is Miles getting a very high honor bestowed upon him by the Cetaganda Empire, the Emperor himself, and the message that move sends to multiple sides within Cetaganda and Tiberiar, and Miles wrestling with that, where it's like he couldn't really refuse, but by accepting it, he also puts himself in a little bit of a precarious situation.
Oh yeah.
I mean, do you think this takes him closer or further to the imperial throne of Barriar? I think it takes him further away, and I think he's happy for that.
Yep.
Uh, take a prediction. I think that this will be used against him in Barriar's political infighting.
Yeah, I think that is a foreshadowing.
Fiction. I also like
Yeah.
the mirroring of that scene where the whole beginning or the whole story starts off with him trying to prove a negative, and then he does that, impossibly so, only for the Cetaganda Emperor to be like, here's another one right for you.
Another
Yeah.
classified award. Because part of what makes him upset is that he's a hero, but nobody
Yeah.
can know he's a hero.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Right.
He's like all the
Hey,
Yeah,
important
so he
people
can't get a
do, but
promotion out of it.
hey,
Yeah.
Ivan offers to throw the medal away for him.
No.
And he said no. Yeah.
also it was the same medal that one they went to the garden party of the Skim Lord. He had received the same medal. It was the highest honor in Senegal, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Seneganda city.
Yeah.
Yes, it was mentioned before.
Yes.
And that was if I remember it, the general who got Vio to Jillian as a Hote wife as a reward for
Yes.
that medal, I believe, or in part because of that.
It was a package
Yeah.
deal. So anyway.
All right. Anything else to add? Oh, I guess what are we reading next?
Uh,
Is it
What are we reading next?
Borders of Infinity? Labyrinth? Is that I think chronologically that is next?
Sure.
Well, I don't know. You guys are
If
the experts.
No.
if
No.
not, no, I think that's one that will it'll tie up some loose ends. But that's like an anthology one. That's like some short stories that have been collected into one book.
Because we already read Ethan of
The
Athos, so the
the
next one
next the
is
next main novel is Memory.
okay, so Borders of Infinity, Labyrinth, Brothers in Arms, and Diplomatic Immunity, those are all short stories?
No, no, Brothers in Arms is kind of a full book. Brothers in Arms is a full book.
there's yeah.
Okay, so what are we reading? We're reading
Yeah, let's do the borders. Ugh.
Yeah, let's do that one.
Let's do let's do the Borders of Infinity collection.
Okay.
Going over Labyrinth chronologically.
Yeah, I guess start with
Because
Labyrinth.
because that's the other problem is that they published a book called Borders of Infinity that contains within it a short
Oh
story,
yes,
Borders of
Labyrinth.
Infinity,
Right. Yeah, Borders of Infinity
and Labyrinth.
collection, which contains the short story Labyrinth, which is the next chronological order. Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep,
So
that
are we
works
going
for
to
me.
discuss the whole anthology or just Labyrinth?
I
The
think the
whole
whole
anthology.
3.
Yeah.
Whole
The
thing.
whole anthology.
Yep.
Alrighty. Okay.
Yeah. And we've already read. We've covered Mountains of Mourning, right?
Yep.
We did.
Yeah. So it would just be Labyrinth and Border and Infinity are the new ones.
Okay. Got it. All right. We all good?
All
Yep.
good.
And with that, this ends our episode, our coverage on Cetaganda by Lois McMaster Bujold. If you made it this far, thank you. If you didn't make it this far, then you wouldn't know. So never mind. But thank you for listening. And if you want to discuss more with us, find other people, other readers who enjoy this series, join us on Discord. Until next time, bye.
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 My God, that was chaotic.
That was chaotic.
Yo,
It was.
guys, I don't want to edit this, but I will.